Good morning and afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another game of Changeling the Dreaming in the Living World of Darkness. Alice has just gotten out of a certain entanglement and is looking for a friend to talk to because she has certain things on her mind this morning after. The scene opens at Vixen with Alice and Misha walking in. Alice will order herself a water and get them a table, a nice booth to the side.
Yeah, Misha at pretty much the same time will order a Coke and a yeah, I'm trying to think. Nachos. She'll get nachos today with and ask for hot sauce on the side because it's been a while since she's had that. And well, she'll kind of wave off to the where that table's at and kind of I'm assuming that the waitress is like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem." And she'll head over there. Um to sort of slide into the seat in that sort of graceless way she has. She just sort of flops in and slides. This is a girl with very little gracefulness to her.
Today, it's one of those days that Alice seems to be in completely the same boat. She is wearing a dress that looks very disheveled. It's a white sheer layer over a flower patterned underlayer. Her hair does not look like she's done anything with it today and is actually messy. She is without any makeup, and she currently is just kind of sitting there without the usual poise she has, just leaning back in the seat, trying to relax.
Well, these are all red flags of terrible, terrible things, or possibly very good things. But Misha tends to think the other way because she's Misha. And upon she's gonna have her Coke in front of her, and she kind of grabs it to sip from it for a second, pretty much while kind of looking her over in a pretty obvious way.
Thanks for responding to my text so quick.
Sure, today wasn't too busy. I was able to take a lunch, if you know what I mean. Sometimes it's difficult, but that's good for business, so that's okay. Are you okay?
Just a little confused and wasn't able to get back to my room this morning to change, so sorry I look like a mess.
I'm not gonna judge. There's a couple possibilities for what that all means, but if you and I'm just worried about if you're okay. I guess that's more the question here.
Well, so you offered to answer some questions if any came up.
Sure.
I'm, I mean, technically I'm fine. Sebastian and I went on a date last night.
Oh, is this the walk of shame?
Walk of shame.
Morning after hookup.
Oh, yes, sort of. I don't think there's any shame in this, right?
Not really. It's just what it's called. I mean, it's usually for people who are slinking in from a night that maybe they don't remember very well, or a night that they just maybe they don't want to remember it very well, or a one-time thing. But you get the idea. I
She blushes at that.
Yeah, Misha just kind of blinks a little bit at the third. She's like, she sort of stops at this awkward moment. It's just kind of blinking because she doesn't quite know how to handle this. If this is actually what she thinks it is, so she's just kind of staring sort of awkwardly, and then sort of glances off to see if you know how you do when you're waiting for food to come, and you
Yeah.
kind of keep glancing up to see if they're coming. She does one of those, has one of those glances off to the side, and then kind of looks back at Alice.
Alice is quiet until the nachos arrive, and then she takes a bite of one. So Sebastian took me to a really nice dinner. It was really nice. We talked about the wedding stuff. We're moving up to date.
Why?
Um,
Just because of the safety issue?
Safety issue. We we're not going to elope because there would be political issues, like big ones. Um, I can't really talk about them, but let's just say that Dessa has caused a bigger problem that goes well beyond the barony.
Misha's eyes widen for a second, but then she nods, kind of. Um, you know, I'm willing to bet you haven't set up. That's fine, though. I just want to do a roll to see if she can have the realization that I think she should have.
Sure, go for it. And yes, the scene is set up
Oh,
in there because I
okay.
figured there might be some roles.
Okay. Well, I'm going to roll by int and politics. Oh, she is not getting that realization. Um, so she and then she just sort of nods. She looks thoroughly confused by what you mean. Of course, there could be no possible other things going on here. But she nods as if she knows, but it's because it's a botch. You can totally see right through that. She is so confused.
Um, we'll talk about it a little later, somewhere a little more private.
Oh, okay. Sure. She's
Um,
going to make the assumption that it really isn't that important because, again, botch.
so we talked about that, wedding rings, um, and then we I took your advice and we talked about, you know, sex.
Definitely a good idea before the wedding than after.
Right. So he um so he hadn't had a lot of experience because he's not really dated.
And he's younger than you.
And I had no experience. So um I I mean it was Valentine's Day and I felt that, it would be romantic to go back to his place. And um one thing led to another. Um
So stuff happened.
some things happened. I mean we got naked at least. And he has really, for someone who has no experience, the his hands, she says, looking up, trying to find words.
Bisha will at this point switch to Japanese because it just seems to make Alice much more comfortable when this happens. Um, um, you mean like what his hands were doing, or his hands are weird somehow?
No, what his hands were doing, they were amazing. Like totally magical, she says in Japanese, staying in that now. I couldn't believe, like, so I've never even touched myself, and that was unbelievable.
Well, it seems like, I mean, things are pretty good in that area for you then. I mean, oh, I'm not quite sure what to say. I guess the whole thing was a lot different for me. It was there was always someone hooking up somewhere, whether it was my mom with some stupid boyfriend when I was a kid, or I mean, or even just in the next room over where I used to live. And it just kind of happens. You hear stuff, you do stuff. So I guess for me, it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't like this whole must be romantic. I mean, it is kind of. I don't know. It's weird for me. I don't think I'm like most people.
I'll be honest, I had no idea what to expect.
Did not Google. This is good.
I chickened out on Googling. I was worried that it would be um something horrifying from the way you guys were talking.
There's definitely some horrifying.
I
Listen,
yeah.
just despite appearances and despite my history being so different from yours, I kind of look at sex the same way you do in a way. Except I wasn't so worried about getting married first or getting, into that kind of serious relationship first. I don't really do stuff unless I have feelings with someone. And I'm not going to make that announcement to most people, but like in this scenario, it seems to make sense. I'm not like William or Amber or apparently Maniva or, a lot of people that are just like, hey, hook up, let's hook up. And Maxine, she doesn't seem to do that stuff either. She seems to be pretty. It's not her style, I don't think. So you're not alone. It's, even if we all handle it different ways. It's just something you need to be aware of what you are and what works for you. This is not going to be the same as me. I guarantee it. You're probably not into weird crow guys.
No, I'm into unusually weird she guys.
Apparently.
They're no more normal. Trust me. But we didn't go all the way because I I got nervous. I have some questions. Um he seemed really happy with the results though because for my first time uh sucking him off. He seemed really happy.
He still looks at her at this point. Has she just turned kind of red?
I think I did something right.
No, I'm asking. Misha's looking at Alice. Did she just kind of turn red saying that?
Yes.
Well, if it was his first time too, that's definitely something most guys really seem to like.
Yeah. Does it always taste salty?
No, not always. I think it depends on what they eat.
We're changing his diet then.
I've heard pineapple juice. I've heard orange juice.
How do you get birth control?
There's a clinic I go to that well, they'll give you the full. They'll give you like this, the medical stuff you need, and then they'll give you a prescription. I can take you, or I can just give you an address if you just want to do it.
I can do it. I actually didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, you just got to talk to a doctor. There's like, or you could actually go to get like your woman's visit or whatever,
Oh, I could just.
and
Oh,
talk to your doctor about it. Yeah, you can just make an appointment and be like, I want to get on birth control, and they'll give you the appropriate exams and stuff to clear you to use it.
oh, all right. Um, that's easy.
It's uncomfortable, but it's easy. But yeah, it's not like it's what you got to do. They'll guide you through it. If you have a good doctor, they'll just tell you, they'll explain to you everything, and they'll answer all your questions about it too. There are side effects you can have, or you could just stick with like condoms if for whatever reason the side effects are too weird for you. Some
How do
people,
I ask him to put one on, though?
you just ask him to be like, or you
That's
can
not weird.
he better be comfortable with it. If you're gonna be comfortable having sex, you better be comfortable talking about condoms and birth control and anything else that is weird or uncomfortable. You just kind of have to do it and work with it. You can just say, "Look, I we need to use these," and he might be as awkward as you, but if you can't work through it, you shouldn't be hooking up. And do it. Don't chicken out just because it's awkward. Because otherwise, you're going to end up with all kinds of unwanted babies or abortions.
Right. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
You can try to gentle it a little bit. You can offer to put it on for him. There are various techniques that you can do with that.
All right,
It,
that sounds a lot less awkward.
it's kind of sexier anyway. If you're in a committed relationship, you don't need to use those if the other stuff works for you. And it's actually like pills or there's a Mirena, which is something that goes inside. And any of those are like, I think those are actually more effective than condoms are.
All right.
So if any of those work, go for it. If they don't work for you, that's what, as long as you're both in a committed relationship and understand the situation. If there's any chance of someone going outside, you want to use the condoms because those protect from STDs as well.
Well, we're totally committed. I don't plan on going anywhere else, and he better not.
Fair enough.
I don't
Yeah.
care about the political ramifications at that point. I will burn everything.
Also something to mention to him so he's aware of the situation. Just so it's all very, very clear.
Oh no, that's been spelled out. No cheating.
Okay, well, some people have open marriages, so it's not. I mean, I've never been married, but
I'm not
doesn't
sharing
seem like
him.
Okay, I'm not here to judge. Remember, I'm friends with William. Not going to be judgy on this subject.
I will fully admit to being a little possessive there, but
No, I'm not judging. Keep in mind, I am in a committed relationship as well. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been a little bit of like moments, but like, Hall knows that I'm with him, and I'm not going to be like hooking up with anyone else. Like when Maxine needed her reputation to be ruined, I helped ruin it. You can find pictures of it on Facebook.
I'll take your word for it.
It's right on my Facebook. It was it's complex, but Hall's okay with it. He knows why I was like kissing her and stuff. He knows, and he's not mad, and he's fine. So, like I said, every relationship's different, and he knows that like now that there's no purpose to it, like I'm not still making out with her,
Mm-hmm.
And it was just for show anyways. Like we weren't doing that in private. He was right there through some of it. In fact, he's in one of the pictures. She sort of blinks for a second.
Well, clearly no secrets. That's a good thing.
Yeah. No, that's my point though. Everybody's got to find their comfort level, and if you and Sebastian do too. But before it goes any further, make sure you at least have some condoms or something with you. It's not the guy's job. It's also your job.
Right. It was really spontaneous, and I really wasn't thinking.
That's how it usually goes. That is how babies are made. But it's fine. Like that kind of thing. I mean, in this case, it didn't do anything that would cause a baby, so you're okay.
Right. Almost, but I was really afraid. I mean, it's big.
Misha stops and blinks for a second. You mean his dick, or you mean
His dick.
The situation? Oh, okay.
Like, I was not prepared for girth. I was. Does it hurt a lot?
That's a interesting question. For the record, Misha kind of for a minute there looked like she was fighting not to have to laugh when you said the word girth. But when you start asking a real question, she quickly kind of calmed down back into something normal. It can hurt like the first time, but that can it depends on the woman, really. Um, the hymen thing exists, but it doesn't exist on everyone. So if there is one, it can, from what I hear. Um, if you mean in general, it really shouldn't unless that's something you're into. Like it's called foreplay. That it, just make sure that you're ready. Make sure that he's helping you become ready, if you know what I mean.
Oh no, no, he was very eager to help with that.
Okay. Yeah, as long as there's enough foreplay, then it should not hurt, although it might maybe I imagine potentially stretch depending on your size and his, you know what I mean? And
There's
if it does, you can always stop and try to and go back to foreplay again, like until you're prepared. You could also try something like lube if it gets weird, if it's just not working for you that way.
lube.
Lubrication. Yeah, you can buy like tubes of it, and it helps. It helps when there's not enough preparation, or preparation just isn't working enough. You can buy it next to like the condoms.
So no matter how big it
It should
it
go in, yeah.
okay.
Unless there's some really weird medical issue. And most of us don't have that. Like I've heard of like an inverted uterus or something like that. That makes it painful. But that's a special situation.
Well, you've given me some good news and bad news on this. Um,
I'm giving you truth.
I know it, but
I mean, I don't imagine you have that situation. So it's
no,
really just experimenting to find what works for you.
no, just I was hoping that you were going to say if you did have a hymen, it really wouldn't hurt. And
It can, but it's only the once and it heals within a day or two, as I understand it.
so one of my friends said that you'll walk funny for a day. Is that true?
Depends on how rough. Some people like it to be that way. But if it's just regular normal sex, then no, not typically.
So, um, what other kinds of sex is there?
Ah, well, you had oral going on. There's vaginal, there's anal.
She kind of squelches at that, has a like scrunched look on her face. Really?
Misha just nods. This is not a joking moment. She's just, yeah. And if you do that, really use a lot of lube.
I would imagine.
I've read about it. That's how I got most of this, how I get a lot of information. I read about it. I'd rather be informed just in case.
So what other common forms are there?
What do you mean forms? Like
Well,
positions? Or
wait, there's more than one position.
oh yes, I'm going to buy you a book. It's called the Kama Sutra. But as a general idea, there's woman on top, there's men on top, there's you can do it from behind, from the front. Um you can move legs around. There are ways of doing really crazy things where you're balanced on top of things. Um there could be someone sitting on a table or a desk. Um there could be they're
So
standing.
so basically cheerleading practice will help.
I never thought about that, but that's a really good point. Yeah, it probably would. If, I mean, a lot of the things that you might do there could just think about it. Use your imagination. If there's a lot of ways that people can bend, not all of them are going to be the best positions, but hey, there's fun in trying.
So are guys really into like different positions?
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean, unless you happen to find that one boring guy who's just like, I just want missionary all the time. But after a while, doing the same thing over and over, wouldn't you get bored with it too?
I guess. I mean, I didn't think my flexibility was going to come into play here, but
I mean, it, it's kind of a bonus, really, in that area. Yeah.
so um I heard there's like guys like sometimes like some weird things. Um
What kind of weird things?
all right, so I have this anime club I go to, and some of the guys were talking, and like dressing up. Does that really do it?
Oh, like role playing kind of stuff? Kind of, like by role playing, I don't mean like the Dungeons and Dragons kind. I mean more like like where you dress up in certain outfits and you sort of play out like certain situations.
I hadn't heard anything about that, but I mean, like, some of the guys were talking about how schoolgirls.
That's totally one of those. That's total. I mean, dressing up is is in ways. Yeah, totally. Like there's lingerie. There's the schoolgirl thing. People. There's a lot of different things that people get into, and it just adds more variation to so that it remains fresh and fun.
I knew about lingerie, but it sounds like some guys are into seeing a girl cosplay then.
Basically, except it's not. Except so they'll do it too. I mean, yeah, they like the girl doing it, but they might dress up too in some way that you like. Like, say you're really into kilts, maybe you get your guy a kilt. For as an example.
To be honest, I don't even know what I'm into yet.
That's fine. You don't need to. I mean, right now, if you like what you got, then you like what you got. But the time might come that you want to branch out a little bit. You don't have to go as far as like, anal or BDSM.
BDSM?
Yeah.
Is that okay? You used English letters for that. Is that an English thing? Something Americans do?
It's something a lot of people do. Um, it's it's gosh. Basically it's people who are into specifically things like bondage, dominant submission, sadomasochism, um, stuff like that. And that's definitely more in the kink area, but you know,
Is that
sometimes.
like when Sebastian kind of took the lead, and I really liked that?
Yeah, and there's no shame in being a sub or a dom if that's what you are. It's just about it's about safety and consent. If you agree to what's happening, then it's fine, and as long as it's safe. I mean, because he took charge doesn't make him dominant necessarily. It just means that in that situation he did. There's a big difference between pretending that you're a servant or a slave versus taking charge of a moment. You know what I mean?
It sounds like there's a big difference, but so you said it's dominance and submission. That's a D and an S.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Oh,
the
see, I'm trying to look it up because for some reason I cannot remember what the bondage. Yeah, bondage and discipline. Sorry, I was like I could not remember what those first two letters meant. It was bugging me. Bondage, discipline, and dominant submission, and sadism, masochism are apparently what letters mean. As she apparently looks at her phone because I'm looking at my computer, and why not? I was going. I know the last two. I couldn't remember the first two for the life of me.
so bondage? That wait, like the
Like,
rope play stuff?
yeah, like ropes. In theory, chains like handcuffs. Have you ever seen those furry handcuffs around? That's what they're for. They're not just trying to look cute.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Mm-hmm.
My parents did not tell me a lot of. I don't want to think of. So,
Don't focus on your parents. Do not focus on your parents in this discussion. This is just me telling you. This is just stuff that I can learn basically by Googling. It's just that I wasn't as worried about the results as you were.
um, so how do you talk to Hall about this?
It's a lot harder considering the fact that he tends to be a little misleading, if you know what I mean. Honestly, what I would do if I were you is if there's something that interests you, then discuss it with him. Then bring it up in sort of a gentle way if you can, and just see how he reacts. If I mean, if this is like the first time you've done anything, you don't need to jump all into any of this right now, you know? It might be one of those things that grows and changes too. It's about what works for both of you because if just because you want to do something, he might not want to. And if he wants
Vice
to try
versa.
something, right, right. So that's why there has to be an open line of communication about this stuff. And it may be super uncomfortable to discuss it, but if you can just kind of push through it and if you start going into other things, there's into some of the more hardcore things, then there's like things like safe words and that sort of thing that needs to be dealt with. But you can do more research on that kind of stuff if you need to know more. Like, it's out there from like real people who practice this stuff. There's also weird things like people who like to be like, I don't know, they like to be treated like babies or like horses. And I don't know, that's not for me. But apparently it's really up for some people. I'm
This is an
scaring you, aren't
entire
I?
new world.
I am scaring you, aren't I?
A little. I mean, it sounds really cool though.
I mean, I hope so, or people wouldn't do it. Sex is a thing, and it's something that we're all pretty much going to end up doing at some point, right?
Clearly, because I mean, I want him to do it to me again. I want him. I can't believe I'm saying this.
You're marrying him. I mean, even if you have that kind of old school thing where sex is within marriage crap, you're marrying him. Like, you have every right to think ways about him and say things. I mean, you might not want him to necessarily let him know that you're having a really open talk with me about him, but at the same time, I mean, that's nothing that I'm ever going to bring up, so don't worry about that. It's just, I
Right.
mean, you need to know stuff. You need to be I mean, if you want to try something, be aware of what might happen if it doesn't work, or have a contingency plan, maybe. Be. I guess my thing here is you need to be able to laugh together. Because if it fails miserably, it's really best that you guys can just laugh at it.
So it fails sometimes.
Well, you might try something and maybe you're just not quite bendy enough. Or you think something's going to be so sexy and then but it turns out to be more funny than anything else. That's that kind of moment that really kind of bonds you though, right? Sex isn't always pretty. I mean, maybe with a shave, but in general, it's not always pretty. It's messy, but it's fun. But I mean, if I wanted to bring something up to Paul, I'd probably just be like, "Hey, what to discuss? Can we talk about something that I kind of want to maybe try, and I want to know what you think." And he would, in the weirdest way possible, probably try to tell me yes or no, or what his opinion is, and I would have to translate. So, see, at least you don't have to do that step.
True. Weird question. So one of my friends I talked to, Isabella, she's also in the club with me. One thing she did, and then I sent one to Sebastian. Do you guys like it when you send them nude pics?
They can. I mean, as a whole, yes, but that's up to you if you're comfortable with it.
Well, I figure he's already seen me naked, so
True, but to put it on film, well, not film, obviously, but on your camera means it's in your phone, and it means, I mean, once a picture exists, especially in your case,
Sebastian wouldn't share it, right?
I don't think he would personally, but I'm not him either. I'm not saying that he would share, but if it exists on your phone, any number of things could happen. Someone could hack your phone.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I mean, someone, and it's happened before. I can't remember who it was, but someone got some pictures off, some naked pictures off some celebrity's phone, and they ended up online.
I guess that's something I'm gonna have to be careful about then.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I might be able to secure your phone a bit. Um, I've been learning how to handle some of that stuff. If you want me to do that
Absolutely.
for you. Um, and she'll hold out her hand for the phone.
Alice will hand over her phone.
Is there any kind of password on it?
Nope.
She just kind of looks at that. She basically swipes her finger across the front and she just looks at it and she's like, okay, first of all, you need to set a password on this phone.
But passwords take too long to get into the phone.
You're right. But if if you want it secure, that is the first step.
All right, I'll put a password on it.
And she'll hand the phone back because that's not really, she's not actually trying to get that. For although she actually could probably break through that, she's not going to.
Alice will take the phone back and put something in there.
Okay, so she sets that up, and then Misha would just be like, "So, hey, go make sure it's still open when you hand it back to me, so I can get into it."
Oh, right. She says, typing in the password.
And then she'll put her hand out for the phone so she can look at it.
Hands it over.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and roll some stuff. See, it'd be what I was told it would be in computers.
Okay.
Um, because that's supposed to be for the software, basically to get in and I forget what the word for it is. But basically where you're setting up stuff. I don't know. I'll remember the right word here in a minute because I found in my phone where you can do that. Only one success, but hey, it's something. Um, at the very least, I'll ask Lindsay what that ends up me doing, but at least it was positive with one lovely success, right?
Yeah, works.
Um, it certainly whatever she did, there's at least some protection of some sort there. And I'll ask her how she wants to translate that. But she'll after a couple of minutes of playing around and they're doing messing with something because I'm really bad with knowing the right terminology at the moment. Even though I actually have seen the right word recently and it bugs me that I cannot remember it. Um, she will hand the phone back and be like, "Okay, so yeah, the main thing at this point is keep the password on. I know it sucks. It's slow, but you're with you're famous. People, paparazzi will try to find a way to hack into that thing
Why would they do something like that?
because they can get stuff out of your phone and make money off of it.
That sounds like a really big invasion of privacy.
It is. And why would you be surprised by that?
I I tend to assume people are generally good.
Encrypt. That's what it is. She's trying to encrypt your phone. That's the word I was looking for. I couldn't remember for the life of me. Um, just so it said in scene, but because they want money and they just see you as not even a person.
That's on some level that's terrifying.
You've never been bothered by the paparazzi before?
Well, I mean, they come by, they take pictures, they do tabloid stuff, but I mean, I was really not that famous until recently.
Well, then you need to protect yourself now. And it's not just because of that picture.
You mean,
I mean, your life is going to be different if you your life is going to be different based on the fact that people notice you more now. I can live over here and be anonymous, and most people don't give a shit what's in my phone unless they have a reason to look. You can't. You can have people peeping in your windows, maybe. Or if you go out someplace and something major happens, you're going to be the one they notice.
probably not going to help when I marry Sebastian either.
Mr. Beautiful? No, probably not.
And I thought that what was going to happen to me on, the face side of things was going to be under scrutiny.
Well, I mean, maybe you'll get lucky and find the really nice paparazzi, but I mean, there's a reason why Brittany was punching them, several years ago, and she's not the only one.
I'm going to have to talk to Sebastian then about our plans to go on a short vacation to a beach because I'm assuming it's not going to now be as private as I thought it was going to be.
That's probably wise. You could handle it a couple of ways. You could hire a security guard. You could hire a guard to kind of try to keep people away. You could potentially choose a more private location. You could still go to a beach, but maybe a resort that has more private beaches.
Somewhere the paparazzi can't get into because it's too exclusive.
Yeah, you can talk to the hotel about it or the resort about it and see what they do. See what kind of protections they can offer you. Maybe they'll let you sign in under a fake name. You have an agent? Have
Yeah, I
them
have an agent.
Yeah, have them call and check into it, or a travel agent or whoever. I'm not sure who the right people are, but have one of them call for you and ask about such things. Because if you actually call, it would probably be rather weird. But if your agent calls, that's a bit more normal for someone who's famous and stuff. Welcome to I don't know, reality, I suppose. But you got to be careful, and especially if when it comes to things like, and she'll kind of lower her voice a little bit, even though it's Japanese, magic. When it comes to magic, obviously people are going to forget if you do stuff, but if they remember that you were there, that could be an issue.
Some days I'm starting to wonder if I might have accidentally painted too big of a target on my head.
I mean, I haven't seen you all over the tabloids yet. You're not exactly Angelina Jolie.
Thankfully.
Thankfully. I don't think I'd want to be Angelina Jolie either. The woman can't do anything without being judged.
I thank you for answering all my questions.
You're welcome. Maybe I can help you avoid seeing some of the things that I can't unsee on the internet. And she's like making a really terrible face. Like, oh.
I guess Sebastian and I are going to be figuring a lot of things out in the next few weeks because the wedding got pushed up to the first day of um, European spring.
Okay. Well, I don't know what that is, but okay.
That's the end of March.
Ah, okay. Well, don't feel you have to figure out all of this at once. I mean, I wouldn't walk in there with like, ropes and be like, "Hey, let's do this now." Like,
Oh no, no, definitely.
yeah,
I
like
mean,
let it
more.
flow naturally. Let it flow naturally.
I was just thinking about, see, I figured it'd be better for us to figure out or to get the first time over with before the wedding.
Don't look at it that way. I mean, over with? No, that's you should never look at sex as something to get over with.
But I'm terrible. I won't even know what to do.
Okay, first of all, he is just as bad as you. What you're saying, he doesn't have that much experience either. So don't look at yourself as being terrible. Look at yourself as learning. And it's different with every single person. So, like, first times are just always awkward. It's one thing to laugh at yourself and to laugh, together, but it's something else for you to put yourself down. Don't just get it over with. Wait till you're ready. And I'm not saying that, I mean, if you're ready, then go for it, but like, it's up to you. just try to look at it as something fun. That it doesn't really have to do with how good you are, because you know what? He probably is going to think you're good no matter what you do, because he doesn't have any other comparison either.
I don't know. I mean, he was really, really good. I wasn't even. My mind was.
It's called an orgasm, and it tends to blow your mind when if it's somebody who's paying attention and trying to help you do that.
I was melting. I felt like I was just going to melt straight into his bed.
How much you would have bet he felt the same way? Ask him.
I think I will.
He probably felt the same way you did. Especially since you guys like cared about each other and clearly were like trying to do things, like you were trying to make each other feel good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Based on that, he probably felt similarly. I mean, orgasm's an important thing and it's a big thing, but like, don't mistake that for anything more than what it is. I mean, you could give yourself an orgasm. I'm not trying to put it down. You know what I mean? Like if you had one, that's awesome. That's the way it should be. But like, it's just an orgasm. It's your body going wow, 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 wow. As she says that last part in English, obviously, which is funny.
Yeah, it's just so it's so different.
It is. I'm not telling you it's not. I'm just saying, don't put yourself down. And don't force yourself to do something because you need to get it over with. That's not at all. That's not any kind of turn on when it comes to sex, is it?
Right. It's about me as much as it's about him.
There you go. It should be about both of you, not just him and not just you.
I am going to tell him that I liked it when he took some charge. It's different.
Good.
I mean, way different. He is not as shy.
Maybe that's his thing. Or maybe he was just trying something. It's hard to say, but if you tell him that, then he might do it again. That's kind of the whole point, if you like it, right?
Definitely.
Okay, then.
She's currently has just a goofy grin on her face as she's drinking her water. Thanks for talking to me. You know I can't talk to William about this.
I was never going to mention it to him. Other than to say maybe that I saw you the other day.
You know, if I tried to tell him about this, I bet he'd go just running the other way, screaming as if like some monster was trying to eat him.
I was imagining the fingers and ears and la 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 la.
Oh my god, that would be the most hilarious thing ever. Watching William of all people running through the streets screaming that.
We could probably accomplish it if you really want to do it sometime.
No, that would be too mean. That would make me a bad person.
No, wouldn't it would just be hilarious. That's what it would be. Possibly the most hilarious thing ever.
You're incorrigible.
She just shrugs. What? He's my friend. If I'm not allowed to tease him a bit, then who is? We've been friends for a long time. And he would tease me just the same back.
Fair enough.
You should have seen how he reacted like when he first realized that Hall and I might be a thing and we hadn't actually kind of come out with it yet. And he just started asking all these questions and I refused to answer. And he just kind of was taunting me. Nah, he'd do the same damn thing back.
Well, he's going to see Sebastian in a different light, I think.
What do you mean?
Well, he keeps thinking that Sebastian doesn't know how to, you know, take charge of a situation. He does.
But he's not going to see that situation. I mean, I don't think they're going to hook up anytime soon.
Oh, no. William takes Sebastian. I'm taking his bike.
I mean, William will hook up with just about anybody, but when there are boundaries, he respects them.
And then I will continue to respect his bike.
You wouldn't be the first to try to steal his bike. No, I mean, like, once he knew that Hall and I were a thing, he doesn't ever cross those boundaries. He does respect boundaries when they're there. Like, I don't think I've never seen him go for someone in a relationship.
Before I found out you were in a relationship, there were times.
There are times what?
There were times I considered it.
Misha looks a little confused, and after a second, kind of like you can see there's just a little bit of pink. She gets embarrassed at the weirdest things. A little bit of pink on her cheeks, and she's just kind of like, but you were with Sebastian well, not the whole time, but
Right. It was
part of it.
before Sebastian.
Oh. I didn't even I had no idea. She kind of specifically like all the confidence that she had like 2 minutes ago is kind of like gone and she's kind of looking away.
I mean, there's a reason why Sebastian and you are my best friends.
You mean you liked both of us? That's why? Or
No, I mean, all the things that, well, the way I see it is you can't like someone unless they were already your friend. You can lust after them, you can, um, I guess, do things with them, but
I don't. I mean, I get what you're saying. Most people seem to work that way. You can hook up, you can do whatever with other people if you wanna, but it doesn't appeal to me at all.
and it doesn't appeal to me as well. I like to get to know people first.
It's good. I mean, at least in a traditional sense, it's good. I've just I guess I've just kind of come to terms with the fact that, well, let's just put it this way. In all the research that I've done on sex, it wasn't just because I was curious about anal or BDSM, although those were tangents I went off on in digging on the internet, right?
Hmm.
That's not what I was started off looking at. I I was looking into different types of sexuality, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Because and she's still just not looking. She's like staring at the table.
Alice is just patiently
Yeah.
sitting there with the smile on her face.
I just I don't really get turned on unless there are some kind of, I don't know, feelings or something for someone. So like porn does nothing for me. And I don't find that very often. So yeah, it's probably why Hall and I worked. Because he was and is my best friend.
That sounds perfect. I didn't even know that that was a thing. All I knew about was the Kinsey scale.
There's a lot of stuff out there. A lot of different versions of, yeah. But mine is called demisexual. It's not something I've really talked about a lot. But there it is. I am what I am.
That is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to remember that. Demisexual.
It's weird and easy at the same time because everybody else is like hooking up randomly around me, and I'm just kind of like, hey, okay, well, that's nice. You know?
Well, I don't think you're weird.
I don't think it's weird. I'm just not comfortable really talking about it a whole lot.
No, that's fine. You don't have to. Misha, you're my friend. I'm going to care about you no matter what.
I mean, it's not like I'm a mass murderer or something.
Nope. You're just Misha. Misha is Misha.
And Alice. And Misha. Go me. She just kind of stares at the table for a second before finally lifting her head.
Well, I'll let you in on something. You probably figured it out from our earlier conversation, but so I'm a 2. No, wait. Is that how it works? Yeah, 2. I find men and women attractive.
So would you call yourself bi or more like pan?
Um, more bi.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess none of that tends. I mean, I guess maybe surprised me a little about you, but only because it hadn't come up.
It it
But it
really
doesn't.
does.
It doesn't have to come up though. That's the thing. Just because you're with a guy doesn't mean that you couldn't be with a girl later, or you. Not that I'm saying you're going to break up. You get the idea.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. Trin.
Everybody seems to be into her.
Well, clearly I have a thing for, you know, pointed ears.
Well, you can't deny that she's pretty for sure. And she seems to be pretty nice, although definitely has some interesting motives.
Oh yeah, that ended up being kind of a turnoff.
Well, I think she realized she was a bit in the wrong in that court thing for Dax. I've talked to her more recently.
Did it go pretty well?
Yeah, yeah, I mean it went fine. Um it was about her brother, but I'm not sure how much I should really say, but she
No,
wasn't she
it's
wasn't
okay.
re- no, I was just going to say she seems to very much regret the way that went down. And she and William seem to get along fine now.
Wait, her and William?
They're not a thing, but they get along fine.
No, no, that's what I mean. They get along?
They they did when in the last couple of times I've seen her with him. Like he and I went to talk to her together.
Okay, now that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean they seemed on good terms. Like she was kind of well, there was at least one time that, a bridge came up as part of the subject. If you recall Trolls Under Bridges.
You know,
And she kind of looked a little embarrassed and laughed.
well, if they're bridging the gap and they're coming together, that's amazing.
I wouldn't say they're best friends necessarily, but I mean, let's face it, William will flirt with anything that's pretty.
He doesn't flirt with me.
True, but you kind of managed to fall into the sister area. He's flirted with me. Long, long time ago. I wasn't in the sister zone, apparently.
So did you two ever,
Do stuff? No.
not even a single date?
Nope. We've hung out, but never date.
I can see that.
He is my friend. And don't get me wrong, yes, that does mean feelings are involved, but I also didn't really dig his lifestyle as one I wanted to be part of. He just didn't suit me in that area. We just had that discussion, but you can understand why that wouldn't appeal to me.
No, I do.
I've been known to introduce him to people he wants to meet.
Oh, so you're like,
I
oh, the
play.
English word. There's an English word for this. Wingman.
I was going to say wing woman, but yes, pretty much yes. I seem to end up there these days. And the fact that, and like I said, that Hall and I are a thing. He's respectful. He doesn't ever try to like be all weird or flirty anymore. Things change.
Hall's not a jealous boyfriend or anything, right?
If he's going to watch me make out with Maxine, do you think he's jealous?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's not like I ran it by him beforehand. I did talk to him about it afterwards, though.
I really do need to meet Hall.
He lives all the way in Staten. It's like 2 hours to get there. I can barely get there these days. He pretty much has to fly in, or we don't see each other.
Well, I hope he flies in sometime.
He he's around. He just has been busy. That will be my OOC excuse. It's not even a good excuse, but there you go. No, you should meet him. He's a gigantic pain in the ass, and he will totally try to pull some kind of puka trick on you.
It seems that every puka is going to try to pull a trick on me because, in all fairness, I'm not as sophisticated as everyone else.
Oh, they do it to me too. You have no idea how many fish jokes I've been through because of them.
I bet he does it with love.
Oh, he himself doesn't jump into fish jokes anymore unless somebody else is doing it first. It's a long story. But other people have, and there was one time I got really pissed off that people wouldn't stop teasing me, and well, pretty much the reaction they probably wanted, except that I reacted a little differently than they expected. Let's just say that I ended up with the possession of several of their personal items, and I kind of left with them, and they had to chase me down.
They're lucky they didn't get electrocuted.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to electrocute my friends, you know? They're friends still.
True. I wouldn't set my friends on fire in a way that would kill them, but, make them a little uncomfortable.
Well, in the end, Hall ended up being part of this little shenanigan, and the only way they figured out what happened was because Maxine used magic.
That sounds like a hilarious night.
Oh, it was great. I had 3 cell phones, 3 wallets, and a burrito at my disposal.
It's always the cute ones you have to watch out for.
Are you flirting?
Maybe.
He should just kind of grins. I don't think I've ever seen you flirt.
It, you know this. It takes me a while to open up. Like, really open up. I mean, look how long it took me with Sebastian. I could hardly even speak to him when I first met him.
I remember this actually. I remember you were like hiding behind me.
Well, I mean, he's so wonderful and cute and sexy. At the time, it was more cute. I mean, now it's there. She has a goofy grin still, just
Misha
looking
just,
underwater.
yeah, Misha's just kind of looking at her, and she's like, "Okay, look, you and I don't really have the same style. That's pretty clear. But um, if you want, we can head back to my place and try to find you something else to wear, and you can at least like brush your hair,
That would be nice. 'Cause right now I look
like you're doing the walk of shame. And there's no need to look like that, even if you are."
right. So, yeah, let's get back to your place. She says, getting up.
How tall is she, by the way?
She is. Let me see if I still have it on my sheet because I wrote it down the exact height. 5'5".
Okay, so you're about 5 inches taller than Misha. But if we find a dress that's like, that's on the longer side, because Misha does have at least one dress that's on the longer side. So that would probably come to a more normal length. Because yeah, Misha's really short. She's at 5 feet. But that would probably work. And it's kind of one of those flowy kind of dresses too. So that's yeah. There's something we can find that'll work. 5 inches would be super awkward in pants though.
Yes, that would be.
Look, they're capris.
um,
Right. So okay, yeah. So we could probably end the scene with the
yep.
two of them heading off towards the other end of Brooklyn, because at
All
least
right,
it's close to the same area and could find you some clothes.
that works. All right. I will be hitting the button then. So thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. And everyone have a good day.